Welcome to Beyond the Network Marketing Dream, where we go beyond the hype and head behind the scenes with industry leaders and experts. Join us for new insights, strategies, and smart discussions about building successfully in today's world.
Well, I am excited to be with my friend Kevin Mohler. You guys all got to hear the intro already. Kevin, this is so much fun for me because of your perspective. The road that you've been down on all those different fronts makes this particularly fun. And you and I have known each other a long time too. So have a real respect for what you've done, what you continue to do. So great to be on the show. Great to have you here, Kev.
What an honor and a privilege it is to be here, Patrick. You've been a mentor of mine for 16, 17 years. Before you ever knew me, I definitely knew you and have notebooks full of notes from your speaking engagements and training so many years ago that have served me in my life so well and our team. And so I appreciate it. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you today.
Yeah, well, that's fun. Well, I think the guests will get a lot out of it. And let's dive right in, man. Look, I mean, we're here to serve the network marketing industry, and particularly leaders that want to change the game, that want to go to the next level. And sometimes in the modern era of network marketing, that has become more difficult and more complicated, really, than it should be. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, just as we dive in and we think about the industry, the current state of where it is, what's going on, I'd love to get your thoughts there.
Sure. Well, our strengths and our weaknesses in business are typically the same thing. If you're an aggressive person, that's your strength, that you have that type of personality, and yet it's your greatest weakness in the particular environment where aggression can be taken as ego or something that is not a positive, then it's your greatest weakness. Same thing with somebody who's timid or somebody who is very humble, right? Somebody who's humble has a tremendous strength in their humility, and yet they can also be taken advantage of. That's their biggest strength and their biggest weakness. And in our profession, this great profession, in the network marketing profession, our greatest strength is connectivity, building relationships, authentic marketing. Our biggest weakness is the technology that typically supports that. It's not built the right way. And so all of a sudden we live in a world where we are more connected than ever. We can make more connections than ever. We can have a bigger impact. We can reach more people. We can record a video and hit play or do it live and reach literally countless individuals. That is a tremendous strength. And yet it's a tremendous weakness because it fragments our teams where we can't get that same cohesiveness and that same process, that repeatable, predictable, duplicatable process that we used to get back in the day when we didn't have all this technology.
So true.
Because when I got started, you bought a box of DVDs. Patrick, it was the same DVD on every single one of them. You'd buy 100 at a time to get a discount. They all 100 had the same, presentation, and everybody used the same one. It's not like there were 60 different DVDs. There was one. So if you wanted to build a business, you got your hands on those. Unless you wanted to learn the presentation from day one, you had to hand out the presentation, which was the video. And then you had to follow up to see who actually got it, who actually watched it, and get their feedback. It was a much more antiquated manual process, but there was still a process. And so today it's just gotten more complex.
Yeah, it's so true. And I mean, I sit here and I wonder, and there's no stats on this, right? But I wonder if you took the top, 300 earners in network marketing today, and you said, well, what's the average number of personal recruits? It has probably gone out the roof because everybody is trying to use, and they're using digital tools to increase their recruiting. But that was never a measure of success back in the day. It was, how large is the organization? How many people did I help duplicate through relationships, through culture, and now today we're seeing so many, and maybe it's not the true leaders, but so-called leaders that are recruiting thousands of people. And I think I've never recruited thousands in my life, 25 years of network marketing, and I never got to 1,000, right? But some of the biggest leaders ever, they weren't the people that recruited thousands. They were the people whose teams recruited hundreds of thousands because of culture, duplication, That's so true, man. It's interesting, right?
It's very interesting. And so how do we do that today? How do we take, in a world that's so connected, that you
Hmm.
can do things at a massive scale, reach way more people, way more simple, way faster than ever before, and turn that amazing truth that I just spoke about into a positive instead of it being a hindrance? And I think that's what you and your team specialize with this authentic sharing technology that you pioneered, that you created out of a need. I believe that you were one of the first to spot it, but not just to spot it. I think others spotted it. You were the first
Hmm.
to actually do something to solve the problem, and not just solve a problem, but turn it into an opportunity where now you can have the best of both worlds. How do you leverage technology, which enables you to connect with people faster and better and more easily than ever, and have a repeatable, duplicatable process that's predictable, and add that to your team and to the field without having to add human effort, like somebody behind a screen that's literally connecting pieces of software? You don't have to have that. It's done automatically. And I think you've done it in a world-class way for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And obviously, I don't want the podcast to be totally self-serving. We're really trying to say, how can we help leaders in network marketing? But the conversation always tends to come back, which is hard for me, right? Because I'm the CEO. I'm proud of what we've done. We're having a huge impact. You're, as a trainer in Rapid Funnel, working with really dynamic leaders in different organizations, you're getting to see the same problem over and over, which is people trying to use tools that weren't built for network marketing and creating this hodgepodge of stuff that nobody can get to duplicate. Can you just talk about, like, let's talk about the problem for a minute of technology and network marketing? Could you describe some of that? What you're seeing, like from real leaders, and you get an interesting, I hope people appreciate this. Like, it's one thing to have some friends in network marketing. It's another thing to go to big events where you hear speakers on stage with a very perfected speech to a very specific audience with an agenda. It's a whole nother thing to be training the trainers, to be a leader that's working with different leaders in lots of different organizations, to have the perspective that you have, because they tell you the truth. You see the nitty gritty, you see what their teams are doing. So anyway, I just wanted to tee that up properly, for you to share your perspective.
Yeah. So my perspective is, the biggest leaders are adopting technology, but they're still fragmented. If they don't have access to this tech, it's like, my background prior to being a network marketing professional was a construction worker and a college dropout. Okay. And when I was a construction worker, my first paycheck went to tools, Patrick. Literally, my first paycheck, my boss drove me to Home Depot and spent my entire check showing me which tools I needed to work for him. Okay. It was a great lesson. There were a lot of things we could extract from that experience. But my point was, if I was going to do the job, I needed the tools necessary. And it didn't just take one tool to build a home. You had to have a lot of different tools. So I had all of those tools, and they were assembled on my person, right, on my tool belt. I knew how to use them. I was coached and trained on how to use the tools. And then we experienced an obstacle or something that needed to be done on the construction site. I could select the best tool for the job and get it done because I had it on me. The challenge with technology is it gives you literally over 1 million tools. And you can't carry 1 million tools in one tool belt. You certainly can't master 1 million tools. You certainly can't figure out what's the best tool for the job when you have a million options. And you can imagine that as a construction expert. Think about that from the new construction person who hasn't even put the tool belt on for 2 days in a row yet. It's day one.
Right.
And you're going to put a tool belt on them that has a million options, and they have no idea what to do. And that's what we're doing in the profession. And that's even what big leaders are running into. They're just throwing stuff against the wall, trying to see what sticks. They're looking at newsletters to see what are the newest and greatest, and adopting AI and chat GPT and creating conversations. It's like, look, all that stuff's amazing, but how in the heck are you going to get duplication? And the truth is, you're not. Every time you add a bunch of options to your skill set and what you do, you eliminate a percentage of the population on your team that can succeed and learn the process.
Hmm.
And courage comes from, or your Your competence comes from doing something over and over and over again and feeling like you understand it and that you can almost predict what's going to happen. That's what we need our teams. That's what the biggest leaders need teams to go out there and make happen. And their leaders are fragmented. And what people are doing is fragmented because there's too many options. And technology works. But how do we get into a simple place where literally you can have a remote control that's the process in one application, not 5, not 10, not 20. One place to create a login that has every tool that you need and none of the tools that you don't. And this is the best platform for that. I'm convinced that it gives you 100% of what your team needs for a duplicatable, predictable process and none of the tools that you don't. So it keeps all the flashiness away. I mean, the app is flashy itself, but what I'm telling you is everything in there you can use to build the house.
Well, it's
don't need
almost
anything
like
else.
we've forgotten, though, that, the average person has 5, 7, 10 hours a week. That's it. That's always been true. It's always going to be true. Network marketing is a place properly designed where somebody part-time can make a little bit of money and build up the confidence and the income to put in more time. So that's the majority of the entire team at any given time. So, taking your tools analogy, it's almost like you're taking the part-time guy who's only showing up a few hours a week on the job site, and now you're filling him up with a bunch of tools that he couldn't learn to use in a decade, investing 5 to 10 hours a week for the first year or two. And literally, so we've forgotten what the essence of the business is the minute we start telling them about these platforms that cost $100 or $200 a month, and you got to be the creator, and then you've got to go execute on it. It's just crazy.
And then you almost have to get a master's degree on how to use it. And then if you are the anomaly and you actually make that happen and you have some momentum, that means somebody new just joined your team today.
Yeah.
And how are they going to get up to speed? Are you going to hold everybody's hand? No.
Yeah.
This is the reason why earners, Patrick, at any level, whether they're at $2,000 a month or $20,000 a month or $200,000 a month, a lot of times they can hit this glass ceiling that they can't bust through. There's something holding them back. It's not the comp plan, right? It's not the comp plan. It's not the scalability of the business. It's not that there's not more out there to get. It's because they do something that they can't break through because there's some people component or something that's holding them back for growth from that duplication. And so we need something that not only can a top income earner use to build their business, but somebody who's brand new. How fast can we get them up to speed?
So let me rapid fire use some questions just in terms of, you're so good about mindset and duplication in the network marketing industry, and those fundamentals that haven't changed, they're not going to change. But then there are, and we're not going to get into the specifics within RapidFunnel, but I want you to talk, about the importance of things like, let's start with leaderboards, recognition boards, gamification, and how important is that in this day and age in building a team?
Oh my gosh! Not only is it important, but there's also a gold nugget that's in there as well on capability. Back in the day when we would build the team, I mean, it's easy for us. We all know, if you've been here for any length of time in this profession, you know that we get more of what we recognize. So we want to recognize top recruiters. We want to recognize top of sales. We want to recognize top performers. We want to recognize those people. And we do. And our comp plans are built to reward those people that are moving product or bringing new people into the business. It's intelligently designed to reward the activities that we want more of to build the business. That's great. But where is the metric that will help us to find the Kevins of 17 years ago? Let me tell you this quick story. When I got started in this business, the business was working on me. It was not working for me. And if I didn't have a direct contact to a fairly high income earner who patted me on the back, who told me that a boy, who held my hand figuratively through my failure, because I was putting in the activity, but I wasn't getting the sales. I wasn't getting the recruits. I wasn't any good. I was brand new. I was the brand new construction worker, day one, who has never been on a construction site, right? I don't know how to build this house. So I show up to the scene. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm failing. I'm terrified to have conversations. And yet I've got somebody who's my biggest cheerleader who was successful in the business cheering me on. What is the technological equivalent to that can identify somebody who's doing the income producing activities before they get the results so that we can find that person before they get burned out? Had I not had the leader who saw me, who locked eyes with me and encouraged me, had I not had his physical presence, I wouldn't have had the sales or the recruits to ever be recognized. My first several months in the business, nobody would have known who I was based on my success because I didn't have it. But I had him cheering me on. And this platform, not only is it a leaderboard and recognition for people who are putting in the effort, but it literally will show you the people on your team who are going to burn out and quit, who are the biggest people doing the most activity. Wouldn't you want to know somebody who's doing 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 exposures a day, even if they're failing? Because we can latch on to the person who's hungry, who wants to grow and build the business, and turn them into our future superstars before they get burned out and quit before anybody knows their name. And I'm afraid there's a lot of people in this great profession today because we recognize top of sales and top of recruits, and we should continue to do that. That's great. It's a huge part of our business. But there are a lot of superstars. Let me put it this way. There were a bunch of superstars in my business years ago, and I can't tell you their name today, Patrick. They would have walked across the stage as a six-figure earner, and I don't even know who they are because they quit before I ever knew their name. Because I didn't have something in place.
And why, in that model, in that era, why couldn't you figure out their name? For other leaders on the call, explain the difficulty of figuring out who's doing the lead measure or the activity in your organization.
Well, I can explain that really quickly with one question. How many exposures did your team do last week? So if you're building this business and you got 5, 10, 50, 100, 500, 5,000, 50,000, 100,000 people on your team, how many exposures did your team do last week? Who did the most activity last month? And do you have a process in place that'll show you and prove to the field that those that are doing the top in activity are also getting the top in results? Because a lot of people they come to us and they say what as a leader? They say things like this, Patrick, like, just tell me what to do, right? But we know children, they don't just do what they're told, they do what they see. It's called modeling knowledge. Wouldn't it be really cool, instead of just having a team call this week and saying, hey, here are our top 10 in sales last week, here are our top 10 in recruiting, wouldn't it also be cool to see our top 10 in income producing activity that's provable? You don't have to submit a form. You don't have to send a text message in. You don't have to sit down and write out all of the activity that you did because the application tracks it for you. So you just build your business. It tells you how many exposures you did. You just build your business. It tells you how many prospects looked at the information that you provided. And if I'm a leader and I have my own application that I'm using for my team and I can see all of our numbers and who did all the activity, not only do I recognize the top in sales, not only do I recognize the top in recruiting, I'm going to recognize the top in activity. Those are my future superstars. I want to love on those men and women and cheer them on for doing income producing activity, but I also want to quantify and show the field over time that the people who do the income producing activity consistently with the right attitude over an extended period of time, guess who those people end up being? The top of sales and the top of recruiting. Isn't it interesting to be able to show your team, hey guys, over the last 6 months, these people did the top 10 in activity. And isn't it interesting that 7 out of 10 of them are also our top rank advance? Right? They're top 10 in making more money, the top 10 in growth on their contribution and their effectiveness in their team and their income. To be able to show those two things, Patrick, to answer that question, you couldn't do it 17 years ago. It was impossible. The only thing you could do was literally pull a report of people who dialed into a conference bridge to show up, to see who showed up on your team call, to see if there was a phone number you didn't recognize. That might be somebody who's doing some activity before they have the results. It might be someone you can reach out to. And by the way, you didn't even know who that person was. You just saw a random phone number, so you had to just call it, figure out who picked up the phone. We didn't have a system in place. We have it now.
It's crazy. Kevin, I had once a leader of field operations of $1 billion company. Now, they shouldn't have hired him because he didn't know what it was to be in the field. But he literally told me on a call one day, he said, Patrick, we're not interested in activity. We're only interested in results. And there are some leaders that don't understand how important and how linked activity is to results. Now, some people are listening to this like, you got to be kidding. Like, you're telling me he couldn't figure out if I talk to more people, I make more money. And for the first time ever, he had a way to measure how many people were being talked to. And he didn't understand how important it was. But I've also talked to leaders that know how critical it is. And I've said, how many people did your team talk to last month? And they have no idea, to your point, Kevin. It's really extraordinary. Let me jump to another one. The FTC, there's more legal, more compliance coming down on companies. What can companies do to protect them from, distributors that are out there sending out all kind of stuff on different channels, social channels, without having any insight? What can leaders and companies do to protect themselves?
Well, number one, give them what they're going to go get on their own, because then you know what they're getting. If you're not the leader or the company that's providing the tech that your team needs, they're going to go get it. And if they get something that's not compliant, you have zero control of that. Like, you don't know what they're actually using. So give them the solutions all built in one tool chest. When I went, Patrick, back to my story about construction, my first week, my paycheck going to tools, I didn't go and buy my own tools. My boss literally pulled into the parking lot of Home Depot. I didn't even know why we were there. I just figured he needed to buy something. I had no idea he was spending my check on my tools. And he took me through there and he hand selected the tools that I was going to be using to work for him, because he knew what I needed. I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know what size hammer. Do I get a curved claw or a straight claw? Do I need screwdrivers, or are those provided on the job site? Do I need my own air compressor? Do you have one? I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm too new to even know. It's called unconscious incompetence. I didn't have a clue what I needed. So I would have, if left to my own devices, I would have gone and just bought stuff I didn't need, Patrick, because I didn't know what I needed. I would have bought the shiny objects, probably the wrong brands, the wrong tools, things I didn't need. But he provided what I needed, and it made it simple for me. I didn't have to question anything. Are you the leader, or are you the company that provides the tools and the tech for your team that you know is already compliant, that you can control? When you have this platform, if you're a company owner or if you're a leader, you can control what is even added to the platform. So if you're in a very regulated industry, maybe it's financial services or insurance products or annuities or something like that, then you understand rules and regulation. Wouldn't it be cool to provide videos, resources, surveys, etc., that you already know are compliant? They've already gone through your company legal, and they're added to your own version of the application. Wouldn't that be amazing? And you can do that. You can control the resources that are added to the application through your own compliance team, your own legal team. Not only that, but the software itself. I don't know all the emails, rules, and regulations, Patrick, to this day. I can't recite on the GDPR or whatever it's called. I don't know all that stuff. But here's what I do know. I use this app, and it's already GDPR or whatever compliant.
Spam compliant, CCP, all of it. Yep.
et cetera, right? And here's the thing, even if I did know it all, who's to say that they won't roll out a new rule or regulation tomorrow? But I know that your team is on top of it, making sure that the tech is compliant so that people like me don't have to. I can just go build my business. and that's what I love about this.
Kevin, how about email? Does it still have a place in network marketing?
Does contacting people have a place in network marketing?
Yes.
So here's the question that the listener would have to ask themselves. And here's what it is. When's the last time you checked your email? And most people would say repeatedly, not just once a day, but multiple times a day. Some on here would be, well, basically every second, because every email I get is a notification. Right? I don't have email notifications turned on because I get too many emails. But let me tell you something. I'm in my email every single day. And I also would say this, that numbers don't lie. People do, but numbers don't. And the amount of sales that happens because of email is astronomical. It's such a large number, you can't debate it. The top marketers on the planet use email in building your own database. Now, that's not the only form of marketing, but it is a vital tool in your tool belt. To me, it is the whipped cream on top of the dessert. It's not the dessert. Talking to people one-on-one, building our business, having authentic communication with real people, really connecting with them is the lifeblood of our business. That is for certain. That is prospecting. However, to have a long tail strategy of a way to communicate with people in a drip campaign is vital if you want to add a percentage of recruiting to your process for you and for your entire team. Because you can only talk to so many people in a day. But if you had a system that can send an email on your behalf that's personal, that address the prospects by first name, that has a call to action in every single email, asking the prospect to click a link, watch a video, view this PDF, check out this article, and then you can get notifications when they take that action. It's like you could focus on your hottest prospects every day with your outbound activity, and then you could be reminded of people from the past who all of a sudden went from a cold contact to warm, or from a warm contact to a hot contact. And that is an astronomical mover of the needle when it comes to recruiting over time. Because not only is it going to add a large percentage to the amount of people that you are already recruiting, if you add email on top of that with good campaigns and calls to actions that are intelligently written, but imagine the multiplier effect between you and your entire team doing that. Or let me say it this way, imagine what it's costing you right now if you're not doing it. How many of your team have done a good job to drum up a lead at the wrong time? Maybe they're their prospects in the middle of moving. Maybe they're about to have a child. Maybe they're sending a child off to college. Maybe they just got a new job. Maybe they just got laid off. Maybe they're dealing with a parent who's aging. Prospects, that could be the right prospect at the wrong time. And if you don't have some type of drip campaign put in place, some of your best recruits have never joined your team because there wasn't a process in place to keep people informed. If every single person on your team was to simply say to their prospect, Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so, would you mind if I stay in touch with you via email from time to time? If I think about you, I'll send something your way. The vast majority of their contacts are going to say, sure. You say, okay, great. I just sent you an email. Do me a favor, open up your inbox, click the link in that email to verify I have the right email address for you. And they say, sure. And they click on it. Now you've got them opted into an email campaign. And depending on your company and your email campaign for the next month, 2 months, 6 months, year, you're going to have emails drip on all of those contacts between you and your team, which will add up to thousands of people over time, make a huge, significant difference in the amount of people you bring on board your opportunity or your product.
Well, and that is, the professional networker today has to have a place where they keep all of their contacts. They have to have a CRM, but the CRMs are not built for network marketing. They're not going to sign up for Salesforce. There has to be a simpler and better way. Kev, tell me what you're most excited and we'll do this again, but as we wrap up the call here, what's got you most optimistic about the next several years in the direction of the network marketing industry, and what's got you most concerned?
What's got me most excited is the fact that we have a world that is finally waking up to the fact that network marketing is just a better way. It's a smarter, more scalable business. It's the best way to move a product to market. Commissions are only paid out when the product is moved. From a company standpoint, it is a brilliant way to move your business into the market without having to run a Super Bowl commercial. You don't have to do that. Network marketing is a brilliant business. From a distributor standpoint, it is a much smarter way than taking your life savings and open up a restaurant and praying that it works and having to be there every single day and manage the employees and you think about it. COVID crushed so many traditional businesses, and yet it gave a steroid shot to the network marketing professional. Most of them went through the roof because people needed a place to connect, even if it was virtual. People needed a way to make extra income. And you know what? Nobody shut down the network marketer. Nobody said, hey, you can't build your business on Zoom. You've got to quarantine and get away from your computer. Nobody said that. It's an absolute brilliant business model that, 10 years ago, it had sort of a stigma. Some people would be like, oh, you're a network marketer, kind of hold their nose up. I'm not saying those people don't exist anymore, but they're shrinking in terms of numbers. today you can hold your head up high, and it's a respected profession, and it's going to be even a more respected profession as we move forward, especially in this digital age when you've got things like AI. Hey, listen, I don't want your AI serving me at a restaurant. If you want to build skill sets that will have a world-class potential for income for the rest of your life, including this boom of AI, it's two things: people and leadership. Study people and study leadership. Every company on the planet needs somebody who specializes in those two things. Every company, without question, needs somebody who specializes in those two things. And so this business is all about people and leadership. It's all about people and leadership. If you love and serve and understand people, and if you work hard on your own personal leadership and scaling that out and building other leaders, you have an unlimited income potential here in network marketing. So I think it's getting better and better. I think the need is higher and higher, Patrick. I think our macroeconomic situation we have all over the planet, whatever country you reside in, that you're listening to this podcast right now, things are in turmoil and things are uncertain. But I can tell you what I believe is certain is the growth of this profession. In the midst of uncertainty, I think we can all be certain about that it's going to grow and there's a tremendous need. And then my biggest concerns are on the flip side of that people see things too technologically minded, which I know is kind of funny to be saying that on this podcast because there's a tremendous need for technology, but a tremendous need for technology like this one. Whereas I think we're going to see a big digital distraction again, a wave of people who think they can hide behind AI. And if that's what this business turns into, then there would be no need for a comp plan for people like you and me. It would just be an AI. It would just be a bot that's just running in the background. And listen, I'm a huge user of AI. I study it every single day. I read multiple newsletters. I'm on YouTube. I embrace it. I use it. But I also understand that the biggest opportunity is not AI providing an opportunity. It's a person using AI to create opportunity. There's a tremendous difference in that. It's still a people business. It's going to be a people business. I don't want a robot serving me. I want a human being with a personality that I can talk with at the restaurant. And that's what the network marketing profession needs to still embrace.
Connections. We all need to connect. And the studies that have been done with babies that had no touch, no love, and the devastating impact it has. And the reality is the more noise that exists in the digital world, the more we're hiding behind the tech, the more we're leveraging AI, the more people are going to be drawn to personal relationships. And that is at the heart of network marketing. If you join a network marketing company and you say, I will only ever talk to cold market prospects through lead generation activities, you shouldn't join network marketing. Right? If that's all you're ever going to do, if you don't ever want to build relationships, right? So
yeah, join a call center, become a manager of somebody's call center or start your own. This is a place of authentic connection.
It's been awesome spending some time with you, brother. I know we'll do this again as well. Thanks so much for the work you're doing to help leaders take it to the next level and grow their businesses. It's been fun being with you. Any closing thoughts?
Man, just look. In this business, it's all about the impact we can make on other people. Just remember that there's an impact that you're making right now that you're not even aware of. Sure, you know the top people on your team and their families. You probably know them by name. But let me tell you something. Somewhere out there, somewhere is a Kevin of 17 years ago that is literally praying for the solution that you bring every single day. And somebody out there is going to share the story with somebody else who's been praying for an opportunity, and you're literally going to be the answer to their prayer. So wake up every day, not just on fire for what's in it for you and for your family, because that's tremendous and you can do extremely well, but you can do extremely well by doing extremely good for other people. And remember that, keep that purpose in front of you because it's real, it's alive, and changes lives every single day. It certainly changed Patrick's life many years ago. It certainly changed my life. And you know what? The story continues to this day, even through this podcast. So I just appreciate the opportunity to speak today, Patrick. Thanks for having me on.
All the best, my friend. Great being with you.
Great being with you.
Thanks for listening. If you know someone who would be a great guest for the show, send an email to beyondthedream@rapidfunnel.com.